Welcome back, everybody. We are going to start with week 1, which is on organization of a system. And I just want to give us a quick little glance into what on earth the study of group and organizational behavior even is. And how does this apply to your field? So let's dive in. Today we're going to do a quick introduction to systems and small groups, and then I'm going to preview for you what's ahead in the class this week and ask you a challenge question. First off, this week your thought question discussion board is on group membership and introductions. So look at these instructions here. Basically, today you are going to draw a diagram of the various groups that you're a part of. So let me show you here. If I'm thinking about what groups I'm a part of, I'm going to think about my friend group and work colleagues. I have a running group. I have my family. I have, what else do I have? Well, I still have my school group from when, the people that I was a part of during my school experience. These are just a few. Church. Look, I'm thinking of all sorts of groups here on the fly. Jeep owners. If you're a Jeep owner, you know about the Jeep Wave. Been having fun with that. So, look. Just click on the fly, I came up with some groups that I am a part of. This is what I want you to do for the first part of your activity, and post a picture of your diagram on a thread, and then name a few different groups that you're a part of. Tell us about them. Are there similarities? Are there differences? And then describe one of the groups in particular. So if I wanted to talk about being in my running group, I would talk about the women that I run with, people that I've done the half marathons with, and the training, that aspect, how it's been so helpful to me, so encouraging, all of those things, right? What do you enjoy about being a part of the group, and what can be challenging at times? And you're going to post that in about 250 words, and then you're going to comment on the posts of at least 2 of your classmates by Saturday. What's interesting to you about the group they describe? Do you have anything in common with the group? Do you have questions? That sort of thing. This is going to give us a chance to get to know each other a little bit better and to be thinking about groups. So how do we define a group? Well, most researchers define a small group as having between 3 and no more than 12 or 15 members. Jesus had 12. That seems to be good enough for me. Interaction in a small group is really important because a small group needs to be able to really communicate freely and openly with one another. Have you ever been on a text thread to which you did not invite yourself? Someone in your family or somebody decides, hey, I'm going to start a text thread with 20 family members. Or you get into the middle of this massive reply all chain of work emails. Communication, not so great, right? If you've got 20 people on an email, everyone's replying all and forwarding and replying back, it can be really confusing. So we wouldn't consider anyone over 15 group members a small group. Also, a small group has a common purpose or a goal. They are working together to achieve that goal. And this concept, this idea of that struggle to work together to make things happen is what brings the group together. So there's 5 considerations in forming a group, 5 things we need to think about when we think about groups. One is our interaction. Do members communicate with one another? Like I said, we're not in that wild text thread, right? We're having good forms of communication. Structure. How is the group going to be organized? Is there a leader of the group? Who does what roles? Is the power shared? Cohesion. Does the group feel a sense of unity? Is it a work together because we have to, we're forced, or is it because we're truly a part of a cohesive machine that is on the same path, with those same goals, wanting to get things done. Social identity. Do the group members share the perception of being in a group? So remember I shared with you about the Jeep owners. Well, there's a Jeep wave that you do when you pass another Jeep owner. Some Jeep owners put rubber ducks on the hoods of or the windshields of other Jeeps. And my son's just told me that we need to order some rubber ducks so we can get in on that. Goals. The last one is goals. What is the group working to accomplish? So when we're thinking about a group needs to have those 5 things, those 5 aspects or attributes in order to really be considered a group. When have you seen one of these areas go right or go wrong? I've shared some of the go wrong parts already, but I would say with like social identity, for example, that can be really powerful. For you as a medical professional, your social identity is one of a helper. Does that infuse you with the strength that you need, or the drive and the passion to continue on in your role? You think about social identity, maybe someone's in a group of moms or a group of dads or a group of siblings. That social identity, that belonging to one another, that understanding of each other's position in life or background, that can be a really big part of group membership. So why have groups? Why organize groups? What's the purpose of that? Well, I have a little stat here that 68% of Fortune 1000 companies use self-managing or high-performance teams. Why is that? That's because the average supervisor actually spends 40% of their work week in meetings. Ooh, and if you're a supervisor, you can probably attest to that you are spending a lot of your time on communication or meetings or trying to get directives from your leadership or things like that. The average executive actually spends 700 hours a year in meetings. No, thank you. That's why I don't have a desk job. I sit at a desk sometimes for my job, but all of those meetings, goodness, you feel like you ever get any work done, right? The best performing self-managed teams are found in companies where the organizational culture clearly supports high decision-making abilities by employees. So if managers and team leaders can trust their employees to make decisions that are in line with the value of their organization, then they're going to have a really high functioning team. They're going to be able to think on their feet, not have to wait for constant approval from those managers. What do you do if you need approval from your manager on the next steps on a project, but they're in meetings all day, right? Former Chrysler chairman Lee Iacocca said this: a major reason that capable people fail to advance is that they don't work well with their colleagues. Do you agree or disagree? Something to think about. And so how do we keep teams motivated? Well, just for fun, every week I'm going to feature a different clip from The Office. I can't embed it in this video because of copyright issues, so I am putting a link to that in our lecture video page for this week on Canvas. Check out this week's clip from The Office, and if you know this character, Dwight Schrute, he's ridiculous, he's hilarious, and you gotta say the guy definitely tries hard. But his form of motivating teams maybe not the most ideal. Why do people join a group? Well, one reason is the possibility of achievement. Again, my running group. I have a running group so that I can achieve my goals in running. And I realize that I'm much better when I have that accountability and when I have a running buddy than when I'm trying to do it on my own. So you could call it group synergy, the idea that 2 heads are better than 1. With this increased ability to perform work as you're working together, the group can provide encouragement and support to its members, and also the ability to tackle large projects, because a group might be willing to take on more of a large project than an individual. The capacity of a group tends to be greater than the capacity of an individual. Now, I know a lot of people who say, and including myself, I've said it, I would rather work alone, right? Especially when it comes to group projects, which is what's so fun about the fact that we have a big group project for this class. Yes, it's because it's group and organizational behavior, not individual behavior. We don't have a class called individual behavior. But it can be really hard to tackle a large project because there's lots of personalities, right? That's the part that can go wrong. Or somebody doesn't keep up their end of the bargain. They're not getting done what they said they were going to get done, or they're not getting it done on time. So don't be that one in your group, right? But people join a group because that possibility of achievement is there. Was there a time that you experienced the best group synergy? And if so, why do you think it happened? I'm going to think about group synergy. I had a group of volunteers that was just really fantastic. When I was working at a pretty large church and running a huge ministry, lots of students in the ministry, and I had these volunteers that were just, it was multi-generational. I think my oldest volunteer was maybe late 60s, early 70s, and my youngest volunteer was in high school. And these folks were just phenomenal. We had massive group synergy. We would laugh together, we would cry together, we would plan and dream together. It was just amazing. And in fact, I'm still close with several people that were in that group with me because just of the life experience that we shared together. But the possibility of achievement was something that really kept us going because we knew the better we got at working together, the more we were able to accomplish, the better we were able to serve our students. Another reason why people join a group, interpersonal needs. Have you heard the phrase, no man is an island? Or we can update it to 2021, no person is an island. It's important. It's important to belong. It helps us to fulfill a sense of purpose. And inclusion is a really big deal. We'll save Maslow's hierarchy of needs discussion for next week, but this is based on the work of William Schultz. Establishing identity with others to be accepted by others is a huge part of group membership. Also, control, the need to exercise leadership, the need to prove one's abilities. Sometimes people join a group because they want to be a leader, and not control in a negative sense at all, but just to flex those muscles of learning how to organize and get a group together and again accomplish that goal. And affection. We need relationships with people. We need friendship. We need that sense of collegiality. And you know, if you've got a work group that's really tight, when everyone is not just getting along, but really, syncing up with one another and seeing one another and working well together, it's a great feeling. What types of groups are there? So, again, on our discussion this week, on our thought questions, I'm asking you to list these types of groups. Some of these groups are social, so I'll go back to my really poorly sketched whiteboard. A social group would be a running group. Church is actually a pretty social group. Jeep owners, definitely social. School was part social, but part work as well. Family group, of course, that is, the way that we are divided up in our societal roles. And now some people have family, like blood family. Other folks have chosen family. Some have a little bit of each. But when you think about social, family, and work groups, I want you to identify in your thought question discussion board message, what kind of group do you think that you're in, that you're talking about? Are you talking about a social group, a family group, or a work group? This is our Tubbs model of small group interaction, and you'll see this in your text, and the reason I have this on the screen for you, and we'll keep coming back to it, by the way, is I really want to help you to understand what Tubbs is trying to get at. So I'll use my little pointer here. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Okay, so this first part of the class, we're going to actually be talking about relevant background factors. We'll be diving into that next week. And what Tubbs is saying is that all these things that we bring into a group, our personality, gender, age, health, attitudes, and values are all really important. They're relevant background factors to us. but also they really influence what we bring to the table in the group. And they can influence the function of the group, the operation of a group, how well people get along together, how much they understand each other, all of that. Then Tubbs says there's what he calls internal influences. Things like the physical environment that the group functions in, the group size. We talked about that, a text thread of 5 people versus a text thread of 20 people. What status and power look like in the group, how the group communicates, all of these different things, decision-making, conflict. We'll be talking about that in this class. So these internal influences are also a part of small group interaction. And then finally, these consequences. Interpersonal relations. Is the group willing to take risks? Are they willing to grow? Is the organization changing? And so basically what this very busy looking chart is telling us is that all of these things work together and create this sort of feedback loop. That in a group you've got these background factors, these internal influences, and then the consequences of those interactions and how a group manages to function. We're going to take a look at each of those categories, and then we'll dive into some of the subcategories as well. And this will become really personal to you because I'm going to ask you to think about and reflect on those groups that you're a part of, specifically the groups in your workplace or within your profession, and how these groups are functioning. Okay, so this week I want to challenge you to reflect. What are some of the ways that your attitudes towards your team members are demonstrated in how you function within the team? This is just something to be aware of, right? Something to look at while you're at work this week or while you're interacting with a group. If you're currently in the workplace, how are you interacting with your family or your friend group or another social group? What are some of the ways that your attitudes towards your team members, again, are demonstrated in how you function within the team? And here's the challenge. I would like you to think about being responsible for the how your attitude is, how you function, how you communicate, even if you cannot control the what, even if the circumstances are perhaps beyond your control or beyond your reach. So that's a little weekly challenge and reflection for you. This is what we've got looking ahead. So this week you have your reading assignment. Of course, you've watched the lecture videos now. Thank you so much. Class introductions, which is just for me to know a little bit more about you. You'll do your reading journal, again, based on your reading assignment. The thought question, which I posed to you earlier in the video. And then you have your team's final project contract. So make sure that you make time to meet with your team members this week and get all of that in order. Now, that's a whole lot. And again, we're not face-to-face in a classroom, so you're going to have questions. I want you to feel free to reach out. No question is silly. No question is dumb. No question's too small or too big. Just let me know what you got, and I will help you navigate this course. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time, and I'm looking forward to interacting with you all online. Have a great week.